Okay, so we're going to demonstrate the Cybex circuit now. Like all the other circuits, they're going to go largest to smallest muscle group. Now this one's going to have the blue upholstery in the club. It goes around in a big circle. It's the largest circuit we have, so I don't normally suggest that being the first circuit, but you'll love it when you do it. So this is going to be the leg press. So when you're doing this, you're going to have a picture here showing you again how to start and how to stop and then what muscle you're working. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the in-between, what form to do. You're going to have a couple adjustments here. You're going to have a foot adjustment, which I'll show you when I get on it. And you're going to have a back adjustment. This is a lot like the Magnum as far as I can bring it all the way up to 90 degrees and sit here and take any pressure off of my back. But it's also set if you want to drop it down where the Magnum circuit doesn't allow you to do it. You can drop this down all the way like 45 degrees. Now I'm going to take it up to about 65 degrees and go ahead and demonstrate it with that adjustment. Again, you set it where you want to, where you're comfortable with it. Now when I get in here, I'm going to get in here like this. I'm going to have my foot plate, so I'm going to have an adjustment here. Now I can go grab this handle up here and this, and I can go up or down by just doing this. Just don't want to grab one without the other. And then here on the plates, these are 20-pound jumps. So the Magnum had the 20-pound jump also. It goes from 110 to 130 wherever you want to, and it had a pin if I want to go up 5 pounds in time. That way I don't have to do such a big jump. This one has a knob. So for instance, let's say I go 130, I'm not ready to go to 150. I can literally turn that knob to 5, and then I'm set at 135, or I can go 140 or 145, and then when I get to 145, if I want to go 150, I'll just turn it back to 0 and go 150. Okay, so now that I've got that set here, I have this all set where I want it. Now I'm going to put my feet up here. I'm going to get my toes to where about level with my knees, okay? And the reason why I'm going to do that, I don't want to put pressure on my knees. So when I push out the first time, I'll bring my foot up a little bit higher, so that when I come down here, my knees are level with my toes. That way I don't have a lot of pressure on my knees. If you put your feet too low, you're hyperextending your knee every time. You're going to hurt your knee. So now that I have everything where I want it, I'll grab these handles. I'll push all the way out. Right before I lock is where I'm going to stop. I don't want pressure on my joint. I want it to stay on my muscle. So I'm going to go out to where it looks like I've locked, but I haven't locked. So it's here and here. Now again, as your range of motion gets better, you can bring the seat up closer to get a full 90 degrees. I'm a little less than 90 degrees, but you may start off that way too, and as your range of motion gets, you'll get closer to the platform. So again, I'm going to come in and out, nice 2 seconds. I don't want to put my hands here and help. If you want to put your hands here, you're fine, or if you want to put them on the handle. But again, about 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. Don't forget to breathe. Normally when you breathe, when I'm coming out with the exertion, I'm going to exhale, and when I'm coming back, I'm going to inhale. And I'm going to match the movement. So when I come up, it's slowly and then inhale. So it matches the movement. So again, when you get your full desired amount of reps, whether it be 10, 12, or 15, when you get the last one, you'll come down, take one foot down, the other foot down, and that's going to be your Cybex leg press. Okay, so now we're going to do the Cybex leg extension. So on this one, again, you'll see you have the start and you have the stop, and you're seeing what muscle you're working. Remember, you still have the plate where you turn up the adjustment here, and you got your 20-pound jumps. On this case here, I'm just going to go 60 pounds. Now on this one here, what I always like to tell people, when you're getting in this, all you got to do is grab this, pull that out, and grab this down the bottom, and you get this out of your way, okay? So I'm going to get that out of my way, and then I'm going to get the back set. Now when I do the back here, when I sit on this one here, I know that's way too far from me here, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit by just grabbing that and seeing my numbers. Now when I get in here, I'm going to get my right leg in, and then I'm going to take my left leg and I'm going to lean all the way back against my pad. Now in this case, I'm too far back this way. My back of my kneecap is way past here, which means it's going to really hurt my knee. So what I need to do is bring this up more. So I can do it by just grabbing this and not even getting out of it, but the only thing is it usually drops back. So you need to go ahead and get out, get it where you want it. Now in this case, I'm taking up to 3. I'm going to try that. Then remember this, you got a workout card for all these circuits. So when I'm going through all that time to get my adjustment set, I don't want to try to remember what it was next time. I'll have it written down on my workout cards. I'll know where it's at, and I'll know what weight I did last time. Now I'm going to get in here now. Now that's fitting me perfect there. It's right at the crease of my knee, right at the front of that pad. So I'm good here. The lower back is touch. So I feel good. I'm not going to hurt anything. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pull it down. And I'm going to grab this. I'm going to take it down here to 90 degrees. Now this right here, you can pull up or down to fit right in the crease of your foot right here, right on the ankle. So now I'm adjusted. I'm ready to go. So what I'll do once I get this, I'll grab here. I'm going to extend all the way out. And I'm gonna, gravity is always working against you on this machine because it's trying to pull back. So it's gonna be almost impossible for me to hyperextend my knee unless I'm just flying through this movement. But if I'm going slow, I'm actually trying to flex that muscle and go back down. It's gonna be almost impossible to fully lock. It's gonna be almost impossible. So again, I'm going 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. This is one of my favorite leg extension in here. And again, we've got a lot of them in here, but this is one I really like a lot. So again, I'm going 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. When I get to the last one, I'll go in here, I'll lean forward, I'll grab this, I'll move it out of my way so that I can slide out. So this, again, is the Cybex leg extension. Okay, so we're going to do the Cybex leg curl. Now, there's not a lot of circuits made anymore where you have a laying leg curl. Most of the time, they're going to be seated, and you hardly ever see standing leg curl anymore. I think it's just because it's maybe more convenient for the person, but I've never seen a hamstring machine work better than a laying one or a standing one. So I like this one a lot, but I do understand a lot of women don't want to necessarily use a laying one. That's why you have a lot of different options here. You have a lot of seated ones and you have some standing ones too. But I always like to show this one because it really isolates the hamstring a lot. So it's going to hit the back of that leg all the way up in the lower part of your rear end. So when you're doing this, again, you're going to have your picture showing you how to start, how to stop, and what part of the muscles you're working here. Again, it's going to be the lower part of your rear end too. And then on this one, I'm going to just put on about 50 pounds. And then on here, the way you're going to adjust this, you got a couple adjustments here, and you really want to kind of take the time to get this right. So what I want to do is I want to be able to adjust this. When I grab this, it's going to take this up and down, okay? And then I have this to adjust it to where I can fit it on my bottom of my ankle here. So what I want to do is I want to lay on here with the back of my knee off that pad. So I'll get up here. When I get the back of my knee, I want my leg to be straight and that to be on my ankle. And I just guessed on that and got it just perfect. So I got it where my leg's straight and that bottom bar is hitting my ankles just perfectly. Once I get that, I'll put my forearms here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring my legs up and squeeze my hamstring. Now I'm going to go lighter since I haven't done this in a while. And so when I come up, I'm going to come up and I'm going to squeeze those hamstrings at the top, almost like I'm trying to touch that pad to my rear end. And I'm going to come down slowly. So again, I'm coming all the way up, squeezing the hamstrings, coming back down. Back up, squeeze. Again, remember I'm doing a 2 second up, 2 second count. You don't want to fly through the movement. You want to be in control of that movement the entire way. So again, when I'm doing this, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. When I get the last one, I'm going to usually take my hands here, going to slide back this way. It's going to hurt my back. I'll stand straight up, and that's going to be your Cybex leg curl. Now we're going to do a angle calf raise in the Cybex circuit. I like this one because a lot of times circuits will still have standing calf raises, and I love a standing calf raise, but a lot of times there's a lot of pressure on your shoulder if you start going heavier. This one eliminates that because you're not going to have a pad on your shoulder. So on this one here, it's going to show you again how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working here. Now remember, you got your adjustments here. In this case, I'm going to go, let's go 90 and let's add 10, we'll go 100 pounds, okay? So when I'm doing this, I can adjust this by doing this. Now this is not a squat machine. I'm amazed sometimes how I see people. Let me show you what I see people do. Now this is what I don't want you to do. This is not a leg press or a squat machine that where you're getting here and doing this. You're not doing a leg press on this machine, okay? And you could, but it's not a safe thing to do. You're gonna do a calf raise. So what you wanna do is you wanna take this seat out far enough that when you get your leg on here, there's very little room to bend. I've got about maybe 30 degrees here, and the reason why, when I get it here, I'm going to push out like this. When I do, at that point, I don't want to let my legs bend anymore. I'm going to go up and down just with my ankles. So all I'm doing is a calf extension. See how my legs are straight? And I'm not hyperextending, but I'm keeping my legs straight because I just want to hit my calves. So all I'm doing is just literally going up and down. And again, the neat thing about this one, I don't have any pressure on my back. And so you'll find that angle. What you want to find is where you can go full extension up, full extension back to where you're not touching the weight. See, I'm right where I need to be at. I'm getting a full extension. Now I could actually, honestly, because I'm not getting a full extension on the back side, I could maybe go up one notch and do a little bit better. So now that should be ideal. I can go all the way up and all the way back down as far as it allows me to go without my weights touching. So again, it's 2 seconds up, 2 seconds back. When I get done, I'll just come all the way in position, take one foot off, the other foot off, and that's your Cybex calf raise. Okay, so we're going to demonstrate the Cybex abduction machine, which is basically inner and outer thighs. And so this is a machine that's going to show you how to start and stop with both inner and outer. So you'll see the heel, and you can see where you're isolating the muscles. Now on here you got a few adjustments here. You got a yellow knob here for adjusting that to do the inner or outer, and you also have this back here. This is kind of neat here because if you want to sit up, kind of like the leg press, if I want to sit up really high, like 9 degrees, I can do that. Lock it in here, and so basically take any kind of pressure off my back. But you'll see a lot of people like to lay it back. Literally, I guess you could go to sleep on it if you lay it back that far. But I like to keep it up. The reason why I have a bad back, I want to isolate and not have any pressure on my back at all. So I'm going to demonstrate it right here, but remember, you can adjust it however you feel comfortable with it. Now this platform is made so you can step on it, because there's no real pretty way to get in and off this machine. You'll see people doing all their own ways. But when I get in here, I'm going to sit in here like this. And I'm going to go ahead and do the outer thigh first. So I'm going to have these turn around here. I'm going to put my feet in here. I'm going to grab this yellow knob here. I'm going to pull it all in, and I'm going to lock it. Now once I do it, you know, you'll see a lot of people trying to go way out. You don't want to force that or you're going to hurt yourself. What you want to do is just realize if you can only go out like this, you're still hitting that outer thigh. So I'm going to go to where I'm comfortable going. The main thing is just don't fly. Go nice and slow, control that movement. You can grab your handles here and do this. Again, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. When you get all your reps done, whether it be 10, 12, 15, whatever you decide for your goal, once I do that, then I'm going to reach in here. I'm going to turn this way, and I'm going to turn this way. And now I'm going to do inner. So once I do that, I'm going to grab this knob again. I'm going to go out, and again, I'm not trying to do the splits like a martial artist. I'm just going out to where I'm comfortable. I may get more flexible later and go further out. Right now, this is about where I'm comfortable at. So now I'm going to do the inner. So I'm going to come in here and just squeeze every time I come in, nice and slow. I could have probably went a little further out there, but I'm going to stay this way just for safety's sake until I get more flexible. And again, I'm going to do nice and slow movement. And again, that's going to be ad abduction, inner and outer thigh machine, all on one machine. And this is the Cybex Circuit. Again, if you like to do a machine for both, you'll have that on the women's side, and you can do that as 2 separate machines. So now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex chest press. So again, you'll see the picture on here showing you how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working. Now this one here, when we adjust this, we're going to have a couple adjustments on here. We're going to have a seat adjustment, so we can go up or down here, and you'll see the seat here. You also have right here where you have a back adjustment, and when you're doing this, you can grab here and you go up or down depending on the size of the person. Now with me, I'm going to probably put on about 3 here. Now I'll lock it in where it's at. And then what I want to do when I'm sitting in here weight-wise, remember you got 20-pound jumps here. So on this one here, I'm going to go about 80 pounds. So I've got 70, got 80 here, so I'm going to put 80. And then when I sit in here, what I want to look at is I want to have this bar about chest level as if I were doing a free weight machine. Now this is hitting me about right. The issue is I got too much play in here. So what I need to do is I need to bring this thing up a little bit more. So I'm going to grab it here. I'm going to come up a little bit further up to about 2. So when I'm in here now, I want to be able to just enough play that I can reach back and get it. Now when I do it, when I'm pushing up, you can see I can do 1 arm at a time on this one, which is kind of neat. And then that means when I'm doing both, I'm having to balance it, almost like I have a set of dumbbells in my hand. So what I want to do is I'm going to get it. Now typically you can go out wider if you want to, but I normally like to go about 3 inches outside of my shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it, I'm going to push up, come back down. Now when I come up, again I'm doing a 2 second up, 2 second down. And I'm just controlling. I'm going right before I lock. I don't want to fully extend it and lock. So I'm going to stop right before I lock. Again, I'm having to balance this one, so it's going to be a little different than the other circuits, okay? It really kind of introduces you to the free play, so if you're going into, say, dumbbells, you're going to be used to having to balance that movement a little bit better. And again, that's going to be your Cybex chest press. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex combination station, which is going to be pec deck and rear delt. So again, you're going to have a picture here showing you how you're going to do the pec deck movement and how you're going to do the rear delt movement. I'll show you those in a second when we demonstrate the machine, show you exactly what muscles you're working. And then again, remember your weight stacks, 20-pound jumps. I'm going to go 50 pounds. And I think maybe I want to go a little heavier, so I'm going to go 10 more. I'm just going to turn my knob here. So now I'm 60 pounds. So when I sit in here, there's an adjustment that you can actually adjust the seat and this here. So on the seat, let's do the seat first. So on the seat, you can see how I'm going to raise it up or down like this, just by grabbing this. They're hydraulic seats, so they're easy to move. So on this one, I'm going to probably put this down a little bit lower right there. And then on here, I can adjust this. You got your numbers here by just grabbing this. In this case, I'm going to bring it back quite a ways back here. and I'm gonna put this to where I can get a good stretch without overextending my shoulder. So I don't want to have to hyperextend. So once I get in here, I have a foot plate. I can put my feet here, and I can grab this here. Now I'm probably a little bit high because right here, if I put my arm straight out, I'm above the knob. So I'm gonna go down 1 notch. So I'm gonna take this down 1 notch right there. And that's gonna feel a little bit better for me now. So once I get it in my hand, now the neat thing about this free movement, so I can make that thing go all in different directions, and I don't wanna hurt myself doing it. So I can also do 1 arm at a time if I want to, by just pressing here and keeping the other stabilized here. But typically we teach people how to do both arms at the same time. So in this case, I'm gonna act like I'm hugging a big pine tree. I'm gonna circular movement, here and back, here and back. In other words, I'm not hyperextending my elbows. I'm keeping just a little bit of bend in it. I'm going about 2 seconds up, 2 seconds back. Now, once I get that done, if I want to do rear delts, and I'm simply going to grab my knob here, I'm going to bring it forward, and I usually bring it to where they touch, and then I'm going to grab it here. Now this way, instead of pulling this and the resistance pull me back, I'm going to come this way, and the resistance is going to be the opposite way I just did. So in this case, I'm going to push and have the resistance go in the opposite direction where I can hit my rear delts. Still going a nice slow count. 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. And again, you want to try to get the rhythm down after a couple reps and just don't let the weights touch. So now I'm hitting rear delts. So again, this one you're going to be able to do. Now you may be doing a body part where you're only doing chest, or you may be doing rear delts on a different workout if you're in a split routine, but you're going to have a combination station. Just remember, this is your Cybex combination station where you can do pec deck or rear delt. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex pull down. So again, you're going to have your picture over here showing you how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working. And then you remember you have your plates here with your jumps here and your 20-pound jumps here. I'm going to go 75 pounds. So it's already set for me. If it wasn't, all I would do is simply turn my knob. So I'm on 75 pounds here. Now you're going to have 2 adjustments on here. You're going to have a seat adjustment. Typically when you're sitting here, you want your leg to be about 9 degrees. That's about ideal, and I'd want to fit. So this also going to have my shoulders about level with that little mark here, which I'm pretty close. Sometimes I'll sit a little high just because I like the range a little bit better, but that's typically about the idea guideline for it. Now once I get in here, I want to take this down to where it fits my leg. So I'd want to get it here. So I'd have 2 adjustments I'll write on my workout card where my knees and my seat is. Once I feel good about it, then I know it's going to fit me, and then I can stand up and I'm going to grab my handle. When I grab my handle, I have a couple of ways I can do it. I can do wide or narrow. If I'm typically doing 2 sets, I may do 1 wide, 1 narrow, but if I'm only doing 1, I like the wide grip better. So when I get it, I'm going to get here. I'm going to go ahead and sit down with it, and I'll put my feet here. Now this thing on the bottom foot plate can be made where you can pull it closer if you need to. And so if you ever need to pull over, that basically just flips over. So in here, once I sit here, I'm going to sit straight. I'm going to bring my arms down to where my hands are about to my chin and back up. You'll notice when you're pulling on this one, it's designed to where as I come down, it's coming out wider. So you don't want to be fooled by thinking when I'm up here close that my arm's going to go straight, the narrow path it's going to bring me out wider. So now where I think I'm coming down right where my hands were, I'm actually about 4 inches further out. So be real careful about reaching out too far if you're smaller in the girth of your shoulders, okay? So anyway, once I get it, I'm coming down, I'm squeezing and back. What I mean by squeezing is I'm initiating a pull with the back and falling through the arm. Now it should be natural enough you're not seeing it, but you're not careful, again, you're gonna just do all arm. So initiate and follow through, squeeze at the bottom of the movement and back up. So here I go, nice slow movement, just like this. Now, if I were gonna do the other handle, I'd simply step up, bring it all the way up. I'd grab this handle, get my feet positioned again, come down, and now I do both handles, doing a narrow version. Same thing, I'm still pulling with the back and letting my arms follow through. When I get done, don't just let it go, okay? Don't slam it. Step up with it and slowly let it go. That way you avoid the injury for you and the machine. So again, this is your Cybex pull down. Okay, so now we're gonna do the Cybex roll. So again, you're gonna have your chart here showing you how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working. Again, remember your plates here. I'm gonna go about 70 on here, so I'm gonna take that from 50 to 70. Now let's say I wanna go 75. Let's go ahead and just turn it to 75. Now, once I get in here, I'm gonna have a couple adjustments. Again, I'm gonna have a seat adjustment that I can grab here, go up or down where I want it. and I'm going to have this chest adjustment. Now on here, I'm going to start right here with it all the way forward until I get in here. I want to have my legs close to 90 degrees. Now what I want to do is when I'm grabbing this is a low roll. So when I do this is not going to come straight across here. It's going to kind of go down in a circular movement. So if I grab here, I want the movement to be where I come here, at the top of my thumb is the lower part of my pec. So let's just see if this fits me. So I'll come here, I'll pull it down. That's hitting me about where I want it. Now again, there's no golden rule that you have to have it hit just in that perfect spot, but that fits me good. Now what I want to do now, once I know that I'm going to have my feet here, I want to pull this out just far enough that I can barely reach that. That way when I'm doing it, I'm not going to come forward with it. So once I get it, now I want to barely be able to reach that so I can make full movement and get a full extension at the top of the movement without the weights touching. So once I do this, I'm going to come back, squeeze my shoulder blades together at the bottom. Again, I'm initiating a pull with the back. I don't want to just do all this arm stuff. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to initiate it, squeeze the shoulder blades at the top of the movement. Here we go. So we coming, squeeze, and return. About a 2 second up, 2 second down. Now I want to show you something too. Right here on this deal, I don't like to use this. The reason why, I don't want to have my chest press against it, so I'm going to be able to do it without it. Now again, if you can't hold yourself steady and you're going to go forward, don't do it this way. But I normally will use my core by holding myself steady. I'll get the weight and I'll do it without leaning forward. I like it this way, and the reason why, I can't go heavier than I need to be going by concentrating on sitting still. So it's going to be up to you. You don't want to have an injury to this. So again, you can use the chest plate if you want to, or you can stand. The main thing is just make sure you're sitting up perfectly straight if you're not using that chest plate. And again, that's going to be your Cybex roll machine. Okay, so now we're going to do the Cybex back extension. Now not all strength circuits have a back extension. This one does. And a lot of people love doing the lower back. So on here, it's going to show you how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working. Now because you're working lower back, you don't have to use a lot of weight on that. In fact, a lot of people who use a lot of weight end up hurting their back. They get momentum going, and we don't want to do that. There's a couple adjustments on here. There's one for the foot that you can actually adjust by grabbing this to bring it up or down where you want it. And what we're doing here with this is we're looking at how he's sitting in here, how his legs are slightly bent, and that's kind of how you'll adjust that foot plate. Now there's also another adjustment up here. What this one's for is to control this bar. So if I want to come back, if I'm taller or shorter, I can adjust this. If I want limited range, like I may have a patient from an orthopedic doctor that wants his patient to have limited range of motion, so we can adjust that to full range of motion or to limited range of motion. In this case for me, I don't have any restrictions, so I'm going to take this to where I'm sitting about 90 degrees. Now this is going to push me too forward, and you'll see some people that do that, which is fine, but I'm going to go ahead and start right at 90. So I'm going to push it back here. So when I'm sitting in here, I'm sitting almost 90 degrees. That way I can't cheat on it. So once I do that, I'll adjust this, and I look about like the guy on the picture here. It's about where I want to be. Now once I get it going, I'm going to put my feet. Now I've got my weight adjusted on 50. Actually, I got 50 plus 15th on 65 pounds. Now when I get it, I'll usually put my hands here. I'll come back. Now when I come back, it's not letting me hyperextend, which is good, because a lot of times the old, what we call the old platform stands that didn't have any of this stuff, people hyperextend on it. If you haven't seen one of these old platform stands, these kind of originated in maybe 70s or 80s, and they're easy to hyperextend. A lot of people got hurt on them, so these machines control that movement. It's not going to let me go back past this, and it's going to keep me from going too far forward either. So I'm in a sitting position, and if I were just visualize I'm not on this machine, I'm standing, I'd be standing straight up. If I get to the top of the movement, I'd also be standing up. So I'm not going to hyperextend either way and hurt my back. So with that in mind, I still don't want to do momentum where I'm going fast. I want to control it. I want to start off at 9 degrees, come down, and back up. Come down and back up. Now again, this should make your lower back feel good. Shouldn't hurt you. If you're having an issue where it's hurting you, you probably are going too heavier, and you're probably doing momentum training. We don't want to do that. We want to control the movement and not let it control us. So again, this is a Cybex back extension. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex shoulder press. Now this is loved by a lot of people and hated by others because it's free movement. You're going to see what I'm talking about when I demonstrate it, but let's look here. It's going to show you how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working. And weight-wise, I'm going to go ahead, now it's on 50. Now I want you to think about this. This is kind of weird because it has, on all these knobs, they go 5, 10, and 15. This one's different. You see how it's smaller adjustments because it's heavy. Even on a lighter weight, if I put this on here, 10 pounds, some people just can't do that. or they may not be able to do the next jump here, so we go smaller jumps here, okay? Now in my case, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on 50 pounds, just straight up, okay? Now this one here is gonna have a seat adjustment. Again, hydraulic seat adjustment, so I can go up or down wherever I want to. Now in this case, I'm gonna put on 2 and see if it fits me. So when I'm sitting in here, what I'm looking for is that bar to be level with my shoulder. Now if I'm sitting way too high, I'm gonna put an impingement on my shoulder. If I put way too low, then I'm not getting the full movement out of it. This looks about right for me, so I can grab an upper or lower handle. If I grab the upper handle, it's like I'm doing dumbbells, and it's also can give me an impingement on my shoulder, so some people just can't do this movement without hurting their shoulder. Like I can feel that on my shoulders now, like almost where it's pulling me too far back. So if you feel that way, you're probably not gonna wanna do that handle. Now I want you to see something. If you can't do that handle, this front handle is gonna be a lot more comfortable for you. So you can do this. Now, it looks like I'm in total control of that movement because I am in total control, but I can easily lose control because this is free movement. See how this thing goes wherever it wants to? It's almost like I'm holding a dumbbell in my hand. So I don't want to lose control. I can also do one side at a time if I want to. But in this case, I want to do both sides. So again, I'm balancing the movement. Again, remember, it goes all over the place here. So you do this one machine one time, you may think, I'm not going to do it again. But if you do it a few times, you'll get used to it. And the neat thing about it, when you get used to it, whenever you decide to use dumbbells, you're going to be used to balancing that movement. It's working a lot of your stabilizer muscles where a lot of machines don't. Now again, I'm doing a nice slow count, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. And then when I get done, I'll just let it down. So this is kind of a neat machine, but you do have to get used to it. So this is your Cybex shoulder press. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex lateral raise. Now on this picture, it's going to show you how to start and how to stop and what muscle you're working. Now this is an awesome machine, but it's more of a advanced machine compared to what some people are used to because it's going to isolate the muscle so well. Now a lot of time when you're doing this, it's like, I like to say it's like the altar, and you're going to see why in a second. I'm going to adjust my weight. Remember, I got my weights over here. I'm going to go real light on this one here. I'm going to go 30 even. Now it's on 40. If I leave at 10 here, I'm going to take across. The reason why, this is hard, even if someone's advanced, unless you're going to cheat on it, and you don't want to cheat. So when you're on here, this thing adjusts up and down. Now it's got your adjustments on the other side, so you can take it up and down where you want it. So in this case right here, when I'm doing it, it had a shoulder adjustment here. So when I'm up here, when I get it in here, I want to have my shoulders about level right here. And this is pretty close to me right here. I think if I went one knob down, I wouldn't be adjusted right. Now once I get here, I want to be straight across with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out with this adjustment here to where I'm straight up. Now what this is, for people who do a lot of free weights, they're used to doing like a dumbbell movement, like a lateral raise like this, or straight arm with a dumbbell. This is going to be almost a duplicate of that. So when I'm doing this, I'm going to grab. Now this is free movement. You can see here how these handles move. So it takes a little while to get used to this. So once I get it, I want to get control of that thing, sit straight up, come out here, and back down slowly. Again, this takes a few times on this one. This is why this is not one of the circuits we typically start somebody on. We want to advance them up to this circuit. Again, I can do one side. If I want to isolate one side, I can do that, or I can do both. Now again, when you're doing both, you're balancing out, just like if you had dumbbells in your hands. But this is an awesome machine. And again, I'm going 2 seconds up. I'm just breaking that plane in my shoulder. I don't want to go way up here and rest. And I don't want to come halfway up. I want to break the plane and back down slowly. So again, let's do a couple more. We come up slow. We come down slow. One more. Up slow. Down slow. That will give you a burn big time in those delts. So again, this is your lateral raise on the Cybex. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex tricep extension. So again, on this machine here, you'll have your adjustment showing you how to start and stop and what muscle you're working here. And then you're going to have your weight adjustment down here. Now remember, you got 20-pound jumps and you got a 10-pound add-on if you want to, or 5-pound, whatever you want to do. So on here, I'm going to leave it right where it's at, 30 plus the 10, so I got 40 pounds on here. So when I sit in here, I've got these bars I'm going to put my elbow on. I'll show you how that works in a minute, but first we're going to get the seat adjusted. Now again, on this, remember your hydraulic adjustment, I'm just going to grab here and I can go up or down. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go with number 1, because what I want to do when I sit in here, I want to be able to sit in here. When I sit here, I want to put my arms straight out, and it should go right about level with those pads. I don't want to be where I'm going up or down. So this actually fits me good right here. Now once I know that's going to fit, I'm going to grab these. I'll pull these down here, and I'm going to extend my arm straight out, flex the muscle, back down. So I'm coming back out, I'm flexing that tricep and coming back down. Now the biggest thing too, if you're not careful, your elbows will flow out. I want to make sure my elbows are as close as can be and coming back. Now again, you'll go 2 seconds out, 2 seconds back. Now I'm going to show you something that some people do, including me. I like to do it. I like to take the pads out and not use them. The only thing the pads are there for is to keep you from dropping your elbows down or raising you too far up. If you can do it without the pads, I like it because I can isolate the muscle. I'm not tempted to go heavier than what I can handle and press my feet down. You'll see a lot of people doing that. I want to be able to do what my tricep can do and not have any kind of leverage on anything else. So again, I'm doing the same movement. If your elbows are doing all this, then you need to go with the pad. If you can do like this and isolate that tricep without it, try it and see which way you like the best. Either way, just don't cheat. 2 seconds up, 2 seconds back, and it's an awesome tricep exercise. When you get completely done, extend it out here, and that's going to be your Cybex tricep extension. Okay, so now we're going to do the Cybex bicep curl. So again, on here, you'll see you have your picture, how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working on here. Again, you got your lever here. I'm going to put this, remember you got your 20-pound jumps. I'm going to go ahead and put this on 55. So we'll put 55 here, we're 55. Now when we're sitting here on this bicep curl, it's got these angles at 45 degrees for a reason. You're not going to sit here high and have your arms like this. You want it, now this actually just fit me, but if the seat was too low, to give you an idea, I'm going to grab here. If I'm sitting too low, then what's going to happen is I'm going to try to put my arms across here and they're not going to be angled down. So I need to have that pad to fit. So I know with this, I'm going to have to raise this up. So again, I'm going to raise it up. So when I sit in here, I can sit here. Now what I want here, I have an adjustment here for my chest. And what I'm looking at is when I sit in here, I want to be able to lean against this pad and have the middle of my forearm sitting here. Now in this case here, I'm a little bit too far back. So I'm going to grab this knob here. You can see it right there. I'm going to pull it up just a little bit here. Now I'm going to sit in here. Now that's hitting me about perfect. Now the issue with this is somewhat like the Magnum circuit. On the Magnum video, I'll show you that it's hard to grab this. So what I always tell people is get up, stand up, get it in your hands like this. Get it positioned where you want it with your palms up and then curled up and then sit down with it. Once I get it up, I'm going to come up to 90 degrees. When I come down, I don't want to go fully extended or I can hyperextend my elbow. So I come down to almost fully extended. That way I can get a bicep workout without tearing my elbow up. So I'm going to come up, squeeze the bicep, and back down slowly. So it's back up and back down. Now this handle will rotate. So if I want to do like a hammer curl and rotate this way, I can also do it like this way. And so if I want to kind of do it that movement there by doing my palms in towards me, I can. And I can also move the handles to kind of go back. But again, I'm just going to do palms up and come back up. Now when I do this, again, I'm going 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. When I get the last one, I'm going to come like this, and then I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to ease it down here so I don't hurt myself, and then I'm done, and that's the Cybex bicep curl. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate the Cybex abdominal machine. Now again, on here, you're going to have your picture, how to start, how to stop, and what muscle you're working. Now on here, I'm going to go with about 60 pounds. Remember, I got my 20-pound jumps here. I'm going to go with 10 here, so I got 60 total. Now on this one, you only got one adjustment right here on the legs. And what you're doing here, if you look at the picture closely, you're going to see about where his legs are bent. So I'm going to do that same thing by grabbing this yellow knob here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to bring it out. Now there's a number system over here. Actually, it's right there showing you how to number on that machine here. If you want to do a workout card, you'll know where to put it. Let's see if this fits me. So when I sit in here, I want to have that same bend, which is about perfect with the guy on the picture here. Once I get it, I'm going to put my arms here. I'm going to push straight out on it. When I get here, I don't want my arms doing like a chest press. I want them to stay locked. I'm going to come forward here and back to here. Now if I come back too far, I'm going to be resting all day long like this, okay? If I come too far forward like this, I'm also resting. So what I want to do is go back in my starting position. When I get a hold to it, I'll feel my abs engaged. Once I feel them engaged, I want to keep them engaged. So it's very little movement. It's about 45 degrees of movement here. So once I get that spot, again, I don't want to bend my arms like that. I'll be wore out. I want to let it lock out and just let my abs do the work. So I'm breathing out as I come out, inhale when I come back. Now you can do the Rocky thing if you want to, but I usually suggest you go ahead and do slow form. Really concentrate on the abs. Again, you'll see some people go way out here. You don't necessarily have to at all. It's just really about 40 degrees of movement. Just like that. And then when you get the last one, just get in position, let that take slowly. And that's going to be your Cybex ab crunch. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate a slant board. This is by Cybex, but it's not actually on your circuit cards. If you're using the workout card for this circuit, you're not going to see this on it. We just added it later. So on this, we can do all kinds of things. Let me give you an idea. Like if we want to do sit-ups, we're going to get in here like this. You can adjust this. It has a lever over here to where there's a little seat number here. I can go over this side over here, and I can grab this yellow knob, and I can raise it up or down. Now in my case, I'm going to have it a little bit lower. I'm going to put on number 1. But I'm going to wrap my feet around here like this. Now I can start off and do a crunch or a setup, whatever I choose. In this case, I'm going to do a crunch. So I'm just going to lay back here. I'm going to meet my lower and upper in the middle and just do regular crunches. Like this. If I want to put my hands back here and let my head rest, I can. What I don't want to do is just do all this action where my head's doing all this. I want to really just make the lower and upper meet in the middle. Now what I'm doing is coming right before my shoulder blades come up. Now what happens a lot of time when somebody does a regular setup, like I'm coming all the way up here, the injury comes when I do this. When my shoulder blades comes up, my back is initiated to about this point, and then my abs kick back in. And so that point right here is where a lot of people get hurt. So a lot of times if we're going to have somebody do a setup, we'll teach them starting from the top position instead of lower. So instead of starting here and coming up, you'll get in it, hold this or this bar, and you'll come down as far as you're able to with your abs. Like for instance, let's say I'm a beginner, I'd come about here. If I get a little bit more advanced, I come further down, and I eventually build up to where I can go all the way down and do a regular setup. But you want to advance into that slowly. So now I can do these as a crunch or a setup, or I can turn around. I can use this handle here. Now before I show you the handle, I'm going to show you just regular knee-ups. If I want to just do regular knee-ups sitting here, I can do regular knee-ups just on this mat here. If I want to advance it, I'll lay back here, I'll grab this, I'm going to slide in just a little bit here. Get my rear end right on the edge. I can do straight leg. Now straight legs are difficult because if you're not ready for it, you're going to hurt your back. So I always tell people start off with a knee-up like this. Keep it fairly high, and as you get stronger, you'll do almost like the sit-ups. You'll get lower and lower. Anything below here is going to arch my back. I'm probably going to hurt my back. So again, when you're doing these, you get all these different options. If you're a beginner, kind of just do your knee-ups. Later on, you'll get to where you can do your straight leg. And so again, it's a multi-purpose slant board. If you want to decline it, you can actually come here, put your feet here, push down, and you can take that down, and you can take it into a decline position to where if I want to lay on here now, I can get up here, wrap my legs in here and make it even more difficult, or I can lay here and do the knee-ups and make it more advanced. If you haven't done them like in a while, don't start off here. Start off flat and work your way up until you get advanced. And again, this is your slant board with Cybex. Okay, now we're going to do a Cybex torso rotation, so I want to show you on how this works. This is really easy to hurt yourself on a torso rotation. I'm going to tell you why in a second, but this is how you start, how you stop, and what muscle you're working. Now I'm going to show you here. A lot of time when people do a torso machine, they have adjustments here. It gets confusing. You're seeing all these different numbers and so forth. But when you're doing this, typically what I'm going to do is set it in a neutral position. On a neutral position, what I want to do is I want to be able to sit in here, and I want my shoulders to be here. Now I'm fitting perfectly in here. If I weren't, all I would do is grab this and take it where I want it, just by grabbing that. Now again, let's make sure I got that where I want it. Actually, I need to come up one notch, back up here. So when I'm in here, so a lot of time when you see people do this, you'll see them doing this stuff here. Let me adjust this weight. Now here, you got your plates. I'm gonna take that down a little bit, and we'll put it on about 45 pounds. Now when I'm doing this, it's so easy to want to do this full rotation here. And you'll see people doing that, making all this noise. You don't normally want to do that on a rotation. When you're doing it all the way through, it's easy to hurt your back. So they make it where you normally will start off, if you want to pull it from inside out or outside in. And give you an example. If I want to work one side, and I'm going to say work the left oblique, I'm going to bring it all the way out here. I'm going to get the slack completely out. When I come forward, I'm going to come here, right straight. Now what I'm doing when I come back, I'm going to come back right before my weights hit, and I'm going to stop. So what I'm doing it one side at a time, and I can eliminate any chance of injury by doing that. Now I'm coming from the outside in. If I want to come from the inside out, I'll just take this back around here, I get it on the other side of the midline right here. And the reason why is when I get it back now to the midline, there's no slack in it. So now I'm going from the inside out, doing the same thing as I was, except for now I'm going from inside out to outside in. So it's up to you. You may alternate each time. Now let's say I want to do the other side. The other side, I'll just simply grab this. I don't pay attention to the numbers so much as long as I got the slack out of it. So I want to go to the other side. I can take this now to the middle and go from inside out and do the other side. And again, I can do the other, doing outside in. So again, that's the rotation. You don't normally want to go all the way across because it's easy to hurt your back. So just remember, take your time when you're doing this. Go from inside out, outside in, and vice versa. So again, this one's going to show you how to do it. Be real careful again for injury on this because I see so many people get hurt. And then again, this is your Cybex torso rotation.